All right, so I got two models here. First one, when I started repainting 6 months ago after a 15-year break, and then him, I'll have to finish up his base. Try doing the same, and have to say, this is kind of news for myself. I do go over how to paint this miniature. It looks a lot better. This one is, God, it's like an inch layer of paint on this one, no shading. I still think one of my biggest weaknesses is the metals. I don't do a great job there. The gems still look a little sloppy, but if you look here, like these lines, I'm doing a lot better. And I got, 2 years and 8 months, I guess, before I try to enter in a tournament. So this is where I was, and this is where I am now. So where I was, and where I am now. And with that said, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, or not. It's YouTube, you do what you want. So here's my first model I painted after 15 years of not painting. And it's been about 6 months, and I have to ask myself, have I gotten any better? And all I did for this guy was follow Duncan Rhodes' tutorial. And I see where I could have maybe done a little bit better. So now I'm gonna paint up my, I don't even know what this unit's called anymore. I'm gonna paint him up in my Ulthwe colors and see if they're any better. And if you want some Ulthwe on me, let me know, because I don't have time to play anymore. So let's get cracking. So before I begin, I don't remember what colors I used, because I had Army painter. But I have decorated cloak here, which is just the darkest gray I have. And I'm gonna go over all his armor with it, and I think I'm gonna leave his shoulder pads for that kind of bone color. But I'm gonna hit everything else with this necromantic cloak just to give him a nice little look. All right, he's looking okay. I'm gonna hit it all with a black wash. Just make sure I get in the inside there. And I'm gonna use tan flesh while everything's drying to go ahead and get his face. Because my XR, I'm using one of the heads from the Corsair sprue. I just felt like, I don't like the ones they had. And I don't know, this thought it'd be a little fun. Everyone else in my army has a helmet on, so make him a little different. All right, while I'm still waiting for that to dry, I'm gonna start combining barbarian flesh. There's just a lighter one, so it's gonna be about 2 parts tan to 1 part barbarian. No washes. We're going to just highlight these raised regions. This is kind of me talking to myself, future self, right? Go through my thought process. And I like the washes to get these recesses, but I always like to go back over them. So I don't feel like you really get, I don't know, it's not like your paint. So I'm gonna leave like everything right up to the edge of his hair. And like the back of his head. We're gonna leave back there, which I'll have to hit again with some tan. So like back here, where it's all back up, I'm not gonna highlight this because that's still kind of hidden. There you go. Now I got like a 50-50 mix. I'm gonna start backing away. So like under here, I'm not gonna get. We're gonna get up there. We're gonna leave a little bit up here. Kind of more recessed areas. Right. I want to make sure we hit any of the highlights, like his ear. And maybe up here, right? The shadow's probably his back of his head there. So now we got the dark flesh, the 3 parts of our light flesh. And we're gonna like hit his eyebrow. Boom. And then like, maybe like right here, where the sun's kind of catching his bald head. There we go. And then I'll glaze it down to a nice thin consistency. And I think I might try to glaze it in there, but if you don't want to do that, layering up probably works just fine. Make sure you hit his ear, but I'm not going to go any more to the inside of the ear. Now that you're done with all that, you just got to get the last of the flesh. Add a little bit of yellow to it, just to get a little bit brighter. Just highlight it up. Then we're going to get white for his eyeballs. Now I have my white, which I actually have mummy robes as an off-white, because the eyeballs are off-white. And I tested on my finger to make sure it works. Just gotta believe in yourself, you know? Apparently I don't believe in myself. I'll fix him. There we go, I got one eyeball right. And for the pupil, I'm gonna cheat. I'm not gonna use a paintbrush. I'm gonna use a marker. Here we go. Just have to jab them in the eye socket. I do recommend you kind of figure out where he's looking at, and then think of where his eyes should be, so you don't have them all wonky-eyed. Probably my marker still made him wonky-eyed. That's okay. I'll work on it. All right, now that his eyeball's all done, I got back to my necromantic gray, and I'm going to go back over everything but leaving the recesses. So, like for example, this armor. I'm not gonna hit right below it, right? Because that's where the shadow is. Like maybe right there where those jewels are, just gonna slightly go around them. Right, so you just kind of gotta work out where would be in shadow and leave that alone. Like right along here in this belt, I'll just leave a little bit of space so I have a little bit of volume. And I'm using a smaller brush if necessary so it's easier to show. There you go. So now I've combined it with some fog gray. Instead of this normal gray, I'm not really sure why, other than this is kind of what I see all the good people do, make a grayish armor. So what I want to do is like the leathery parts. I'm just gonna pick out the area, so I think the light's coming like this. I want to make sure I'm getting all these kind of highlighted areas, leaving these like recessed creased here. I'm gonna leave that alone. A little room behind his shoe and his armor. And then I do have like a glazed area. Let me get a little glaze here. So I'm gonna have about 70% water. There we go. And for the armor, right, so like his kneecap, I'm gonna start down here. And as few strokes as possible, I'm gonna work everything up to the top of his knee. All right, I'm gonna do the same for all the other armor. Like I've already started here, I'm just gonna work it up. And I'm just starting like, if this is the knee, I would start here, up, and then here, up, and then here, up. All right, let's get to it. All right, he's starting to come along. And now I'm gonna add a little more black in there, a little more blue, so I can get consistency that I want. Let's kind of test that to where we were before. There we go. That's about right. We're gonna do the exact same thing, right? Just increment it up. So like these boots, keep that tip. We're gonna stay away from the bottom. And anywhere I feel like it's too harsh, I'm just gonna go back and I'm gonna do that glaze. Try to make that transition a little smoother. There you go. I went ahead and highlighted it. So now I'm just grabbing the necromantic cloak and glazing it. Just kind of bringing it all down, right? Except for maybe the very tip. And I just want to like bring the three colors together. And then I'm going to go back with a bright blue and highlight it all. So now that's done. I got just the gray. And I'm going to edge highlight everything as carefully as I can. Which I have to say, doing a lot better than when I started. I mean, can you tell the difference between the lines? I'll get there. I'll get there. So it's looking all right. I like it. It's definitely looking different than the other guy, but that's okay. We'll take a look at the end. I got desert yellow, which is just kind of a brownish yellow for my next step here. And I just want to go ahead. I want to base all the bone parts. So I'm going to base like his weapon here in this color. It's going to take a few layers. This is a very thin paint that they made. I think I'm going to leave this open, maybe put like something in there, make it look like a glass canister maybe. Being very careful to not, well, I guess it doesn't matter, I'll paint over that. I'm going to get his shoulders and his weapon as well, and this little piece here to be the tan parts. All right, he's doing okay now. So what I've done is grab some skeleton bone, made about 50-50 mix right here. And I'm gonna take my time, and anywhere it's really recessed, like right under here, right under the armor, just gonna leave that little bit alone and work it all down, right? And I just want the dark yellow for the most recessed areas. So like maybe up here in the gun, and I'll fix that. And we'll just go through and we'll finish it up. He's starting to take form. Now I'm just using the lighter tone here. And I want to hit all the areas. So I'm thinking like light's coming down on him. I'm going to face him like that. So it's all coming down this way. So for example, since light's coming there, I want to hit here on his brow. But leave the sides there open. And get a little more water on my brush. And if it's coming down that way, I'm thinking like this is gonna be highlighted, but not that side of it. So maybe like this side of it. And then I'll glaze in the rest, just like we did with the armor. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm gonna cover maybe 70% or so of the areas and glaze them in, just thinking like, where's that light coming in? There you go, he's looking all right. So now I grab a little quartz pale. I've mixed it with my previous color. And I'm gonna highlight all the regions. And anywhere that I think it's elevated, so I'm gonna highlight right along here. Try to get angle on my brush if I can get it. Right, but also light's coming down, right? So light's gonna come down, maybe like hit this like little spot over here or something, and then I'll glaze into it. And we'll use one more color to get another highlight in there. Of course, get his mask as well. And there you have it. So what I'm gonna do is just get the pale, lightest color, and I'm just gonna start doing all my little highlights. And I have found, and this might change in time, that if you do 2 highlights, it helps it blend and make it so it's not as jarring, but it still pops. Anyway, so I'll have to go around and get that all done. There you go, and now I got some Crypt Green, or Crypt Wrath, which is just a dark green. I think any dark green will do. And we're gonna start getting his blade. I'm gonna try to make it like a power blade, but I wanna have that nice dark green base first. And I'm going to use it here on the warp spider spinner thing. I can't think of the name. And I'll probably use it here, but I'm gonna do that later. But if you decide you want to paint your guy like mine, I know you can do that. I might be trying to make that look like it's pulsating or something. So here he is, looking all right. Now I'm gonna grab a medium green. I just grabbed green skin, and I'm gonna pick a spot. So I want the blade up here to be nice and bright. So I'm gonna paint about halfway up. And then same thing with here. And when I'm done, make sure it's nice and clean. I'm gonna glaze it, starting maybe here, and then here, and then here. I'm gonna do about 10 of them as I move through. And for these little warp coils, I wanna get the middle, leaving kind of the edge exposed a little bit. And I'm gonna have a smaller brush, do like a little lightning down, you know, little bits. Maybe I'll wait for the next color. Here we have them, right? And now I got cracking skin with just a light green. I'm just gonna get the tips, right? Just the tip. That's what you tell them, but it's never just a tip, is it? And then another little, oh my God, I did it all off camera. Just the little tips. And then right in the middle. Once again, we're gonna mix it up. We're gonna have 70% water. We're just gonna test it and try to blend it all in. So now I just took a little bit of white and I kept mixing it until I got kind of what I felt like it was pretty good. And now I'm just gonna try to put it right in the middle. As I don't have, why is it drying off so fast? Close enough. I'll deal with it when I don't have a camera in front of me. But for these parts, just gonna edge highlight all along here, and then work the blade. I just can't with the way the camera's set up here. Just come at an angle, just work your way down. Man, I really wish I could. I don't think I can reach it with the way the camera's set up. All right, so now we're gonna add like little cracks in the crystal, which is a little tricky. Just line yourself up and try to give it a little slash. A little like slash. There we go. That's good. If you find something that's too big, you don't like, just get a little water and just kind of. There we go. Well, let's compare them to the first time I painted a crystal blade. As close as I have, he's the first guy I painted with a crystal blade. Honestly, it's felt the same. But my armor looks better, a little bit. Well, my lines are way better. Look at these gigantic bulges here. Oh, anyways, let's move on to the coat. So now I'm grabbing Abomination Gore as we work through our guy, and that's gonna be my base for my red. I want a dark red. So I'm gonna grab like this area and this area down here. It's gonna take me a few passes, but that's okay. All right, and any of the other highlights, I will do the gems in the same color, but I'm gonna wait to the end. I'm gonna do this little piece up here in the red. And don't forget the kind of back banner cloak. I'll be doing that in red as well. And these little tassels all on the back here, I'll be doing those in this dark red. I think I want the clothing to be a dark red, and that way the gems pop out a little bit more. And I'm gonna get a smaller brush, but I'm gonna go along this belt here, leaving the center as much as I can for brown. So there you go, looking all right. That's all the area that I painted up. Now I have 1 part dragon red, the 3 parts of the previous color, and we're just gonna mix that up. I'm using the cape here because it's gonna be a little easier to show. So I want the very, very recessed area I'm gonna avoid. But everywhere else, I'm gonna come in, right, and just kind of get this first color going. And now, for the inside of the cloak, right, I'm just gonna do it once, all the way through, and then I'm going to attach it because I don't think anyone's going to look that deep into the model, and I don't want to have to paint it if I don't have to. But that's kind of the plan, right? So like this very deep outcropping here, I'm going to leave alone, or slip and mess it all up, and the rest of it, like, do what I can. There we go. Now I got a 50-50 mix. So I'm gonna leave like these really dark recesses. I'm gonna hit right here, come along here, start leaving some of this in between open, right? And then for the smaller details, I'm just getting a very fine brush and going through, but so we'll leave a little bit more into there. And if I think it's warranted, maybe I'll glaze it in to make it blend a little better. But I don't know. The number of layers we're doing, we may not need to. There you go. So now I got one of the dark and two of the bright. And like anywhere that's recessed, I'm not going to bother with anymore. Like this part of the cloak, or the cloak, I'm not going to bother with anymore. Right? Because we got one more color after this, and then we're going to start our highlighting. And I want to create that illusion. So like back to this side, don't care. Don't care down there. Anything back there, don't care. All right, I just want to keep these levels first. So this is all shadow probably. So I may have up to there and work down. I kind of like the bottom of this, don't care anymore. So that's what kind of want to do. Like all inside there, I think we're done. We're done with all that. All right, here you go. Here's your guy, or my guy. So what I've got now is just the red, and I've kind of got a heavy glaze level, and I just want to like work it so that I can kind of roll it in there without being too jarring. I've already worked the back here a little bit, so you can kind of see where it's starting to roll in, and then we're gonna do like two little highlights before we mix it with a kind of reddish orange. So now I got 1-to-1 of my medium red with the Mars red. And I'm just gonna start edge highlighting, so go over those little pieces, go on the bottom of this. Right, all those pieces. And then what other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix it in with like 7% water. So it's looking a little bit like this. You can already see where I've like done a little bit here. If anyone that's elevated, like along this, I just want to give a little streak all the way to the bottom, and then kind of move it up so there's a little bit of highlighting there too. And it's okay, you know, if you have to, you gotta experiment, right? And make sure you don't have a little too much. There you go. And now I just have the reddish orange Mars red by itself, and I'm just gonna come in here and lightly highlight in areas where they meet. I'm just gonna do a little crosseroo. And that's it, and we'll be done with the red. He's looking okay. Now we're gonna grab fur brown, and we're gonna come in and notice that we've messed that up, and we'll have to fix it. It's okay, we're gonna fix the banner, which is blowing that way, but his hair is blowing the other way. I can't stop looking at it. And now neither can you. So we're just gonna get all these leather, trying our best not to go into the areas that we're gonna paint gold. And, you know, get here, these little belts, and this one that's going across his chest as well. All right, I put the highlights on there because I just had the fine motor skills to do it with the lights. Now, we're gonna grab some true copper and all these little gold details, like right around this gem, little clasps, right, this little thing over there, whatever this doodad is, and this part of the gun. We're gonna head and take care of that. And there we go. I'm gonna hit it with a flesh wash. All these little areas here. So I like the way it looks burned out before I highlight it up. I always had difficulty highlighting without this little wash. So I'm gonna do that, and then while it dries, because it takes about 30 minutes, I'm gonna fix this banner, which I totally forgot to paint. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Now we're gonna knock out the hair. I got Filthy Cape, it's just a medium kind of gray. And I wanna give him like a white or grayish hair. I'm gonna keep the muted tones for the character. And I have to say, I really gotta work on my metals. I just am never as good as I want to be. You know, that's just kind of how it is. Anyways, let's get this base coat done. So that was pretty simple. I'm gonna grab ash gray. Now, you don't have to do this. You can always mix it with a white or something. I just feel lazy. And I have a lot of grays. I think I have like 12 grays because I bought that Army Builder set. Army Painter. Army Builder is an old program I used back in the early 2000s. There we go. Then we're gonna start highlighting it up. We're just leaving the recesses. And now we're just gonna grab, what did I grab? Stone Golem, it's just a lighter gray. Like I said, you can probably just use 2 colors. And I'm just gonna highlight these lines one more time. And then we're gonna do an actual highlight. All right, now I got my lightest gray. If you don't have one, you could always just use white, I suppose. I'm just finally coming along here. Right, just trying to get it between the paints, right? And just little lips. And then we're done. We'll put the jewels on and he'll be complete. Now we're gonna grab our vampire red. Now we finished the hair. And we're gonna do all the gems. I do the other gems to save myself a little time. Take your time. I also realized I forgot to do the metal. Now I got some dragon red, and I'm gonna make a little, whoops. I guess is the best way I can put it. You just come along here. I'm gonna leave this top part alone. I'm gonna come along like this, and every time I do it, I'm just gonna leave that little part alone. I forgot to hit record, but I just used pure red for that gem, and now I got like my orangish red, which is just Mars red, and I'm just gonna come in this very bottom and then give it a little doot right there for a white dot, and I'll be done.